Good morning. Howdy, howdy. Hi, Joy. Good to see you. Letting everybody in now. There's Anne. Hi, Anne. Welcome, welcome. And looks like Samara. Oh, Della. There's Della. Hi, Della. Good to see you. And Samara, I think. Yeah. So, good morning, everybody. Good to see you all. How's everyone handling? I know, Della, you look like you're outside in the sun. That's awesome. Yay. That's great. And there's Kelly. Hi, Kelly. Good to see you, Kelly and friend. So, yeah, I know that a lot of folks are navigating the smoke, depending on where you are in the country. So, if that is you, then feel free to stay inside if you need to for this practice. I am myself. We're still at it's not terrible levels, but it's not the healthiest. So I'm just choosing to stay inside right now. And hi, Claudia. Good to see you. Awesome. And yeah, so we'll just be, you can sit inside or outside, doesn't matter. If you are inside and you don't have smoke as an issue and you want to crack a window or a door just so you can hear, because part of our practice will be listening today. Some of it will be seeing, but some of it will also be listening. And hi, Tracy. Good to see you. And Kelly, hello. Kelly and team. That's great. Hi, Dawn. Nice to see you over there, our Utah gal. So yeah, I think we've got most of our usual crew here. And Kelly, is this your first time with us? Awesome, good to see you. Yay, thanks for joining us. And hi everyone else. So usually what we do for anyone, I think most folks have been here before, but for you, Kelly, if you haven't, what we do is I will guide you through a sense meditation, and the focus is the birds, but sometimes we don't do things specifically about the birds, but it's really to help us improve our skills of observation so that when we are with the birds, we can become more adept and just more skillful at connecting with them. And so, yeah, just depending on sort of what we're focused on. And some of it will be listening, some of it will be looking. And so it just depends. But basically, my encouragement is just to find a comfortable seat. Again, either inside or outside. If you can crack a window, that's great. And just feel your, oh yeah, and just to let you know also, Kelly, that we'll have some time at the end to talk. And so the first part is going to be in silence, more or less, for yourselves. And you can just focus on a window outside or something that you're looking at outdoors. You don't have to look at me. And then afterward, we will take some time to chat with folks. So if anyone wants to stay afterward, you're welcome to. And it's about a 30-minute practice. So we usually end around noon Eastern. All right, let's dive in. So everyone just find your feet on the earth if you can, and if or on the ground below you, or if you feet are not touching the ground, then you can let your butt touch the surface of your chair, whatever you're sitting in. So great. Just making sure everyone's all good. And I think that's all I'll say for now. Yeah, so just feel yourself, just notice what it feels like to connect with your feet or your bottom. And just seeing if you can feel that connection with the earth this morning. So we're just taking a moment to slow down and to connect with the rhythm of the earth in this moment. And so as you're doing that, just noticing, kind of taking from your feet all the way up. We'll move nice and slowly up from your ankles to your knees. And we're just taking stock of how we feel. How does your body feel in this moment? Noticing any sensations, whether they're uplifting and encouraging and positive sensations, or maybe they're a little grouchy and tight and not so lovely sensations, but you don't have to change them. Just notice what you're experiencing in this moment. Moving all the way through your body, through your hips, your belly, your neck, shoulders and arms, down to your jaw or up to your jaw, your ears, your cheeks and your nose, your eyes, and all the way to the crown of your head. And now we're going to move inside. And so taking note of your heartbeat in this moment. So notice, is your heartbeat rapid and quick? Or is it slow and steady, or somewhere in between there? And again, you don't have to change anything, you just have to notice. Just becoming aware of your own experience right now. And then we can do this at the very end as well, just taking stock and noticing if anything has shifted. And so now, wherever you are in your breath, on your next exhale, go ahead and push all the air out of your body. And then take a nice deep breath in through your nose, filling your lungs, filling your body, the whole cavity of your chest, softening your belly, and then let it all go. And do that one more time, noticing letting your belly expand, moving all the way up to the crown of your head, and then let it go. And then on your next breath in, go ahead and intentionally smell the air. So noticing what the air smells like right now in this very moment. And just picking up if there's any differences or changes from the last time that you were sitting here. Noticing if it smells different from the last time. Hi, Jackie. Good to see you. And again, this practice doesn't matter if you're inside or outside. It's just going to be different. So all of this can be done in both places. All right, so now what we're going to do is we're going to send our attention to our eyes. So you still want to keep a pulse, keep an awareness of your body, your inner body and outer body. But now we're going to specifically focus on our eyes and allow your eyes just to drift across the landscape. Let them search and find something as far away as they could see. And focus on just one part of that object that they're looking at. So if it's a tree, maybe you can focus on a branch. If it's a building, maybe you just focus on a tile or a part of a window, whatever it might be. Just focus on one thing right now. And after you focused for a few moments, then allow your eyes to soften. So you're going to get really soft in your eyes and you're going to expand your vision so that you can see out of your periphery. So out of both corners of your eyes, you're going to expand your vision as far as you can stretch it on both sides, even though you're still looking forward. And then when you feel like you've reached the furthest stretches of your eyes on both directions, you're going to also stretch up and down. So noticing how far up and down you can see, again, even though you're still just looking forward. And just allow yourself to stay with this way of looking for the next few moments. And just notice what starts to become part of your awareness, whether it's becoming present of your inner being or something outside that you're seeing and witnessing. Good work. All right. So now we're going to do a really similar thing, but with our ears. So you're still going to keep your eyes in this softened gaze. Still just letting everything be really soft, almost kind of fuzzy and blurry with your eyesight even. Don't be afraid to let your eyes get blurry. And now you're going to take your awareness over to your ears. And just like you do with your eyes, how you kind of let your eyes sort of massage the landscape and you explored it, let your ears do the same. So just reach out with your ears as if you could, as if they were hands, and just reach out across the landscape in all directions or inside your home and just explore everything that you can hear right now. all the different textures and layers and those spaces in between. And I'd say it's even a little bit more advanced to do this inside your home, because oftentimes we become so accustomed to the background noises that we really don't hear them anymore. So, and you can do the same outside. Sometimes there's certain sounds that you just become so used to hearing, you don't hear them anymore. So take this moment to do your best and listen for the sounds that have just become a part of the background. All right, good work. So some of you have heard me tell this story before, but I'll start with this short story and then we'll dive into practice. And you can just keep looking, keeping everything soft with your ears and your eyes, and exploring your landscape. Feel free to use binoculars if you want to. While I'm talking, I won't take any offense if you see something you're excited about. So I did a program once for the folks, the instructors over at Boulder Outdoor Survival School in Boulder, Utah. And we played a game at one point, and it was just helping people really get themselves in the body and the experience of being a bird. And then we started sort of transitioning to how to enter the landscape in a really quiet and gentle way. And so I taught them something called fox walking. So it's a way of walking on the landscape in a really soft and gentle way. And at first, and this happens with most people when they first learn fox walking, they were really rigid and stiff. And they were just like wanting to do it right, like putting their foot down in a specific way, and just very rigid, if you can imagine that. And so I had them all move across the land as they were practicing. And then we did this a couple times, back and forth, back and forth. And on the last time, I said, all right, now I want you all to pretend like you are 6 years old again or 7 years old again. And I want you to fox walk across the landscape. All right, go. And so they all did it. And I'm not joking, literally within like 2 seconds, half of them disappeared. Like I couldn't see them anymore because they were in the trees and whatnot. But before, it was so easy to see them because they were so rigid and stiff and wanting to get it right and not wanting to mess up. And then when they became the 6-year-olds and just let themselves be soft and play, they literally blended in with the landscape. It's like they just disappeared into the landscape. And so that was a really good, for me, I didn't even know that was going to happen. And so I just had this intuition in the moment to try that with them, because I was like, oh, they're so stiff right now, And so we're going to try that today in a different way because we're sitting still. So we won't have to walk out on the landscape right now. But we're going to attempt to be more playful in our own experience, in our own way of being in the world. I think it's a way that helps the natural world not be so, we're not so foreign to the world, I think, when we're more of our 6-year-old self versus the adult, maybe more critical, judgmental self that we often can be. So in an effort to play along with this, we're going to use our owl eyes to start with. Actually, I think let's start with our ears. Let's start with our ears first. So you still want to use your owl eyes, still, owl eyes being the soft vision. So still look in the world with your softened vision. But now I want you to start to listen for something that's just really easy to listen to. And allow yourself just to be playful with that sound. So just playful in the way that you're listening to it, not trying to get it right. And so we'll spend a couple minutes, maybe 2 minutes or so, just listening to the sound that's really easy to listen to. And then I'll give you your next assignment after that. All right, good work. So the next sound you're going to try to listen for, obviously, if you were enjoying the sound you were on, then you can keep up with that. But also add to it a sound that's kind of unusual, like one, I don't know, that just stands out to you for some reason. So stretch your ears, listen, see if you can find an unusual kind of sound. Maybe it's simply just a familiar song that a bird is making, but something's a little different about it. Or maybe it's a sound that's altogether unusual to you, like you've either never heard it before, or it's just interesting and strange. And it doesn't have to be just bird sounds, it can be human made or animal made. And we'll do this for a couple more minutes. Oh, yeah, and I forgot to say that try to do your best to just let yourself be playful with that sound. So when you find that unusual sound, see what it's like to be playful when you're listening. All right, good work, everybody. All right, so the next layer we're going to add on is one more sound. And this time I want you to listen for something that is maybe not quite so pleasant to listen to, something that's not your favorite. So when you're listening, you're like, oh, I don't like that sound, or it's just maybe uncomfortable to listen to, or whatever. But this time, when you're listening, even though it's not your favorite, do your best to add a layer of play to your listening. Well done. All right, so now we're going to focus with our eyes. We're going to shift from our ears to our eyes. And again, it doesn't mean you have to turn your ears off. It just means we're going to have a slight shift. So I want you now to start to look for something on your landscape. Could be near, could be far, whatever it is. Again, it could be animal or human made. Something that's really easy to look at, something that's just lovely, brings joy to you to look at. And while you're looking at this one, again, bring that layer of play. What would it mean to be playful in the way you're looking at this one that's easy to look at? And we'll do that for a couple minutes. Good job. All right, so the next layer that we're going to focus our eyes on is something that's sort of curious to look at. So something that already kind of piques your curiosity and your sense of wonder. And so find something on your landscape right now and bring that level of playfulness to how you're observing that thing that's really curious or interesting to look at. And if you wrestle at all with that idea of being playful with it, just remember that inner 6-year old. So if you were 6 years old, how would you be looking at this one right now? Or how might you engage with the one that you're looking at? All right. And for our last one that we're going to focus on with our eyes, I'd like you to look at something that's maybe not so pleasant to look at, something that you don't maybe love about your landscape, or even it could be nearby, something maybe that part of your deck or whatever it is you're looking at, something that is not your favorite. So spend a little time and be playful with this element of your landscape that's maybe not your favorite right now. And if you're someone that's not yet even 6 years old, then I guess you can just be you as you're watching. Well done. All right, so take the next moment or two, and there's lots of different elements, creatures, beings, whoever it may have been that you connected with this morning. And so just take the next moment or two and in your own way offer a sense of or your own gratitude to whatever it is that you connected with in this last little bit of time we were together. Okay, so if you're feeling complete with your gratitude, then we can come together and we can share. So, anyone who needs to go, feel free to do what you need to do. Take care of yourself right now. Thank you for coming and playing with us this morning. And anyone that wants to stay, you can stay along and share, and we'll get to hear from folks' stories this morning. So, I know it's because this can feel vulnerable for some folks, especially when you start talking about ways that you play and might have been sort of that more 6-year-old version of yourself. And so I'll start. I can tell you some of the things that came up for me this morning. One of them was with a sound. Which sound was it? It was a sound. I think it was one of the first sounds. Oh, I know what it was because there's not a lot of sounds in my house at the moment, and so I was trying to listen for my own heartbeat, and and I don't know if I could feel it, hear it as much as I could feel it, but I was kind of imagining it as like a frog. It was like a frog going like ribbit, 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 and I was like, oh, that'd be funny. Like, what if my heart was a frog, and just like ribbit, 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 and it just made me laugh. And I was just like, oh, that's a fun way to be playful with my heart sound. Anyway, and then I had all sorts of explorations with the plants and whatnot. I kind of imagined being like on this one plant I saw over here. I sort of imagined myself being like this little, just I don't even know what, like let's say like a little fairy or some little creature or something, and that like each of us, it's a who is this one? It's not. Oh, which is the hydrangea? I think it's a hydrangea, yeah. And right now they don't have flowers, they just have the leaves coming out. And so there's like leaves here, leaves here, leaves here. And I was like, oh, what if like little people lived in like each of those, little like everyone had like their own little stalk, that they got to live on. And like how would you jump from one to the other? And it's like, oh, that's so fun. It's like a little world I just created over there. And anyway, so I was having all sorts of fun out there on my landscape today. So I'm curious if anyone else had any other sort of playful experiences or what it was like to try to experience some of these sounds and sights as playful. Because I know that might be a little edgy too. Claudia, I saw your hand go up first. Yeah, go for it.
Okay. Yeah, I was watching a bird, and I think it was a house sparrow. Anyway, it was kind of going weep, 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 weep. And that reminded me of the Roadrunner on the cartoon. And so we don't have Roadrunners here in northern Utah that I know of. But anyway, so I pictured a Roadrunner down on the ground having a conversation with that bird. And anyway, they were just talking, having a conversation. And then the unpleasant one for a sound was the dog barking in a couple of houses down. And we have a lot of that right now. And all the neighbors are kind of complaining about the dogs. But I was just imagining that what if, well, first of all, I thought, what if Peter Pan's over there and the dog's barking to protect the children? and and then it switched to, what if it's like in 101 Dalmatians where the dogs have that, that message thing where they'd send the messages through all the different dogs, and that's what's going on, and they're actually protecting somebody. And so I thought, well, gee, that's a better spin on it than what I've been putting.
Oh, that's so cool. I love that. I love that. That's awesome, Claudia.
Thank you.
Oh man, next time I hear a barking dog, I'm totally going to be thinking of the Dalmatians or the Peter Pan
Yeah.
image. Yeah, that's really great. Thank you. Yay. Della, I think I saw your hand go up, and then Tracy will.
Yes, yes. When I was, this just really took me back to when I was 5 years old, and I grew up on a farm in Missouri, and that was in the 1950s. So, TV and a lot of toys and things were not a big thing. I used to play with flowers, and I would take the flower, and I'm going to just pinch one off here. And I would take these beautiful flowers like this one, and I would twirl it and pretend that it was a girl with a full skirt, and she was dancing. And I would have a couple of them, and I would move them around and things like that. So that was my fantasy when I was a little girl.
Oh, I love that, Della. That is so beautiful. I could just like imagine all these like flowers coming out and dancing at night or something, with each other.
Yes.
That's the best. And also too, like who needs dolls or anything? Like you just made your own doll. Oh,
Yeah.
thanks for sharing that. I love that one.
Thank you.
Yeah. Tracy, I saw your hand go up next.
Good morning, all. I love this one. Della, that was so sweet. I love that. All the birds were coming out to play today before we got started. The Abert's towies. I always want to call them Alberts. In my head, I call them Alberts. I didn't see them, but I heard them, and they haven't been back since last year. And we have vermilion flycatchers everywhere, but not in my complex, like across the road, all the parks. But there was just one over here. So as we were doing playful, my pair of baby curbill thrashers were chasing each other through the yard and just having a blast. I love their noises. They have so much fun, not with the other birds because they torment those guys, but with each other, they tear around and have a blast. And then the mockingbird's still looking for his mate, so he was adding some different noises today. So that was kind of neat. So everyone was playing, and it was really fun to try to there was a baby sparrow. I just filled the bird baths and the feeders beforehand in the dog dish, taking a bath, not the bird baths, just the dog dish, and having a blast. He was the only one. The annoying one was there's so many flies because it's so hot, and I mean we've got a dog and all that, but I was trying to think, instead of being annoyed, like, "Stop that. Oh, I'm so annoyed." Someone probably watches them like birds somewhere in the world and gets excited that there's flies and that they're playing, and maybe they're playing, right? Maybe they're having a good time, and so I'm sure that they're not annoying to someone. And I was trying to like, flies, right? I'm sure there's some beauty and some purpose there somewhere. So
Oh,
yeah, this was a fun one. Thank you so much.
yeah,
Everyone was coming out to play this morning.
that's great, Tracy. Thank you. I'm wondering, like, for folks, my curiosity part of it is, what did you notice, or did you notice anything shifting within you when you became more playful, especially with the ones where the songs or the sounds that might be like maybe not so lovely to listen to? Did you notice anything in your own being shift or change? And I'm just curious what that was. Della, I see your head nodding up and down.
Yeah, I was thinking about the unpleasant sound is the continuous blowers and tree chippers and utilities that are always going here in the area, and I can hear them in distance. And I'm thinking, and I started to think about the birds, and I thought, they hear these noises too, and I wonder what impact it has on them, or if they just take it all in stride, and just block it out like we do. I just wonder how the birds react to the sounds.
Yeah. And how about within your own body, like when you were listening with that playful sense, did you notice any like shifts or changes in your body when you were kind of taking on that playful part of yourself, when you
Well,
remember?
I don't know if it's playful, but I have a tendency to just block it out and just say, ah, don't listen to that. Don't listen to that. And I just kind of rebel. I guess that's kind of childlike.
Uh-huh. Yeah, that can be childlike. Exactly, that little rebellious part. That's interesting. Cool, thanks. Anyone else want to share? Like if they noticed anything shift within themselves when they became more playful in their minds? And yeah, Jackie, go for it.
I just had a hard time sitting still because my playful self wanted to go over to the succulent flowers. Oh, the hummingbird is there now, and pluck one and put it in my pretend treehouse area as a chandelier because it's such a pretty flower. And it looks like it's full of candles. The
Yeah.
succulent flowers are long and tubular.
Yeah. That's, so Jackie, what that just reminded me of, again, this may to some people seem like sort of like, why are we doing this? Like, how is this going to help me connect more with birds? But I remember this moment years ago where I was during a time when I was first learning about herbs and plants. I was studying herbalism at the time, and it was the very first time I had ever, oh, thanks, Joy. First time I had ever learned about the plant nettle. And I was in my backyard, and I lived in Washington State, and I didn't know anything about nettle. And I was walking around, and I happened to see that there was actually nettle growing in the field where I was living. And I'm like, oh my God, I was so excited. I was like, this is the best. So I went out there one day and I was harvesting, and I was just so absorbed with this plant. I was just loving the nettle, and I was just like enthralled with it. And I was just like so careful. I was like picking it so carefully and putting it in my bag, and just like really just like loving this patch. And the smell of like fresh nettle is so amazing. And just knowing that I was going to go in and like make medicine from it, everything about it was so incredible. And I was really truly absorbed. And that's something that I'm hearing in a lot of your stories this morning, was this sort of like absorption in like the plant or the moment or like the twirling or whatever. Like Joy, with you like wanting to go over there and grab the chandelier, and like our minds just like take us to this other place when we do that. And what happened for me in that moment was, I didn't realize, but literally about 5 feet away from me was this mama deer and her young one coming up and eating some of the like greenery right near me. And she didn't know I was there, and I didn't know she was there, because I think, and maybe she did know I was there, but she was so comfortable because I was just in this like lovely, playful, just absorbed place, versus this like, I'm gonna study the nettle and I'm gonna get all the properties and I'm gonna write down the whatever, and like in my head, which I can get sometimes. I was just in this really absorbed place, and I believe it's my interpretation, because the moment that I was like, oh dear, I was like literally not oh dear, but like, oh, it's a deer, I looked and I was just like, whoa, And I turned back, so I made sure I was looking away from her. But she was like, at that moment, I could see in my periphery, she was like, whoop, and then just like looking at me and was just like, oh, no way, and then she like bounced out of there with her kiddo. But prior to that, we were literally about 5 feet apart from each other, and she didn't care about me at all, And so I can see, and it's so cool that in just a few moments, you all are really getting to that place. You just take yourself to that place. And so for me, it's encouragement, encouraging to hear your stories, and also encouragement that like before, if you ever go on a walk, or even when you're sitting out there by yourself, if you're at your sit spot, just allow yourself to be a little playful, even in your thoughts, and just see what might happen for you, and especially before you go on a walk in like a new place, because that's even the best. If you can just like kind of engage that childlike mind for a few moments before you start your walk, and then just see what happens, because you're playful rather than like maybe more like, I gotta get these birds, I'm gonna see as many as I can see. And not that I don't do that. I totally do that too, but anyway, Tracy, did you have your hand up? I saw your, okay, yeah, go for it.
Yeah, a couple things real fast. Can we learn the fox walk one day? Do you have a video?
Oh yeah.
And from last week, did you learn you were going to ask someone if the woodpeckers ever use the bird bath? Because I mean, mine visit the bird bath to drink, but I keep wondering about it, because we were wondering if they ever go in the baths, if they're just really
Yeah.
private about it.
I actually forgot to ask that question.
Oh, that's okay. I've been
Thank you for
wondering every
reminding
time
me.
they visit again. I'm like, I wonder, you guys.
So have
I've just,
you noticed it yet? Have you seen
they don't go in. No, they just perch on the edge a bunch. So I was just wondering if we knew.
I'm writing that down right now. Do woodpeckers?
Thank you.
Yeah, for sure. That's such a good question. That's really cool. Thank you for reminding me of that, Tracy. Yeah. And I don't know if anyone wasn't here last week, if you might have information on that. Does anyone know if they've ever seen a woodpecker take a bath before? We were all trying to hide. We were all like, I don't know. No one on the call last week had seen it before ourselves personally, It's a fun question. All right, great. Anyone else have anything they want to share from this morning? Or yeah, Jackie, go for it.
So when we're sitting or you are focusing in nature, this is my interpretation. I'm sending out a message that I am no threat, that I'm doing something that's important to my person. And so I find, like you just explained, the critters around me are like, she's no threat. She's busy doing her thing. I'm busy doing my thing. And I think that the more we do this, the more we realize there's another way of communicating in nature, and even among people. Once I was in a supermarket, and I walked by a woman, and I instantly felt that she was fearful and anxious. And I told my friend, we need to watch her. And indeed, some gentleman tried to come and push her around, and we walked with her outside so she could get in her car safely. So there's another way of communicating, not verbally, maybe body language, but I feel as if it's kind of emotions able to be transmitted through living things, whether they be plants or animals. That's just my way of interacting with nature.
Yeah, Jackie, that's awesome. And I think what I'm starting to experience more and more is that the thoughts are part of it, I think for sure. And I think our being, like how we be, is almost as important, if not more. I think it goes hand in hand really, because I remember this one time where I was looking at a tree. I remember it was kind of sunset. I was living in Colorado at the time, and there was this beautiful tree. And I remember, that's when I had been like harvesting some of the piñon nuts and the piñon pines out there. And I was like, I love them so much. I was so excited and I was so grateful. And so the sun was setting, it was getting darker and darker, kind of like dusk time. And I was looking at this pine tree, and I was just like, oh, you're so beautiful. And like, all those nuts are so beautiful and they're amazing. And I remember thinking to myself, like, oh yeah, and then I think I heard a robin in there, and I heard it go tut tut tut, and I remember thinking to myself, I was like, oh, like I'm just here, like I don't mean you any harm, but I was like looking at it, And I couldn't see it where it was, but I could hear where it was. So I was like staring probably like right in the tree, like where the robin was. And I was just like, you know, saying like, I mean you no harm. Like, I'm just here to like love and appreciate the tree and you. And that same moment was like, and it just like flew out. It was like it had had enough, you know? And I thought to myself, I was like, I don't get it. Like I was really thought I was in like a pretty chill place and I was communicating that like, I'm fine. But I think there was still something in my behavior. It was like this absorbed, like I'm not absorbed, but like almost not even obsessed. I was very focused. I was very focused on that tree. And I think that's a part of, it's like a different kind of focus when we're playful versus when we're like, you know, this kind of like, I want that thing, you know? And I know I was like that with the pinion. I was just like, I just love you. You're amazing. You know, it's like someone who's like sort of like this obsessive lover versus just like, I just love you, you know, just kind of like unconditionally kind of thing. And so I'm just exploring that more and more, like the act of thinking the thoughts, but also being the thoughts, you know, of like being no threat. Like I was with the deer, you know, after I saw her, I remember thinking like, oh, I'm like, just, it's a deer. It's like, oh, it's okay. It's okay. It's okay. But it's like, it wasn't okay. She wasn't okay anymore. Like I had like changed my persona. Everything about me had changed. And like, no matter how many times I said it's okay, like she didn't care, you know? And, yeah, so I think it'd be a one to like an interesting one to play with, you know, of like thinking versus being, and then kind of combination of both too, you know. But it's a really good reminder, and our thoughts are very powerful. And I have seen what? Something there. It's okay. You don't have to save. You don't have to move if you don't want to.
The Buick Wren, who's been making all kinds of sounds, finally showed up.
Nice.
So happy. I never get to see her.
Yeah, that's the best. I know they're so shy. That's so cool. Yay, Jackie. Aw. Well, this was super, super fun. And regarding the fox walk, yeah, maybe we could do that someday. Uh, yeah, we'll see. We'll see about that. That's a possibility for sure. Um, but thanks for joining me, everybody. Today, this was really fun. It was fun to play with you all and hear your stories, and just I appreciate you all, like you know, those who did share, just your vulnerability and in sharing those parts of yourself, because we just expose like our little kid self. And yeah, I'm just not gonna be able to stop thinking about some of these like images. You know, it's the sweetest ever. Aw. All right, everybody. I'll see you next week, and thanks. I have a lot of sweetness in my heart right now.
Thank you all so much. Have a beautiful day. Thank you.
Yeah. Thanks for coming, Kelly and family. Yeah. All right,
Bye.
everybody. See you.